Hi everyone. Okay, let's try this again. So we've got books, whips, and sips tonight, book club night, and we are trying to get Leyla from Leylalicious to join us as my guest host tonight. We were having a little bit of technical difficulties, so we tried to reboot here and we're going to try again. So give me just 1 second and let me see if I can get her on. Okay. And Leyla, if you are gonna text me, if it pops up on my phone, like I'm not gonna be able to do it with the live. So if you send it through Instagram, I can look at it on my computer here. Let me know if you tried rebooting your device or not. It might have an update out there too. Maybe that's part of it. Yay!
Okay. Okay. Hold on. Give me just a sec, though. Okay. Hold on. I've got to mute this here. Hold on. I've got to mute this here.
Oh, and now I think I'm getting feedback.
Okay.
But that could be the you needing to mute thing. I think we're okay.
Yeah, you know what? I was trying to get on my computer.
Oh, we're breaking up. We're going to get this figured out. Yeah, just a little bit. But you're back now.
Okay.
Are you on a Wi-Fi network with your phone or, oh, shoot, we're loading again. We might have to try and do this.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Can you hear me? You know what?
Yeah.
Trying to log in computer and that work. I couldn't get the accept it, so I'm just going on my phone. It's good.
Yeah, I always have to do it on my phone. I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I just never feel like my computer picks up my voice very well either, you know, like the mic.
Yeah.
But that's also probably because my computer is old as dirt. So yeah, no. Whatever. It worked out. We're here.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
Coming live from sunny California, we have Leyla. How are you tonight?
I'm good.
So you just got off work, right?
You know what? I actually ended up working from home today, and I clocked out at 4:30, so I could have a little bit of time just to kind of get ready and catch up.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I think, like, I was rushing around too, just because, you know, my husband gets home late from work, but then, like, I still have to feed the children and make sure that they have their homework done and all the fun stuff. So it's like,
and you guys are cool, right?
Yeah, we just went back. So they started back on Wednesday. So this is going to be their first full week. And then, of course, there's Labor Day. So it's like, well, okay, so.
Short weeks to get you back on track and then get going.
Kind of ease you back in.
Exactly.
That's how it goes. But yeah. Well, yay. I'm glad you could join me this evening. I know that the time of it kind of is a little tricky for you given our time zone differences. So I'm really glad that you could join again. So I mentioned this in my previous attempt at an intro where we had to like restart the live. But Leyla has actually been a guest host with me before, twice, right?
Yes, I think
so. Once just you, and then once it was you and Callie and I as we talked to 𝗕cie. So if you've been around for a while, you might recognize Leyla, but if not, then Leyla, would you please introduce yourself to those that don't know you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what got you into crochet and knitting and all the other fun stuff.
Sure. So my name is Leyla, and I'm the maker, creator behind Leylalicious. And if you haven't been around, the name Leylalicious came about when I was doing my chocolate dipping, what I call sweet treats. Basically dipping anything in chocolate. Madeleine cookies, pretzels, Oreos, you name it, it was dipped in chocolate.
Chocolate makes everything better.
It does. It definitely does. And it was between, I was making chocolates and I was also making jewelry at the time. And it was actually my coworker who came up with the name Leylalicious. And that's kind of how that whole Instagram page started. And then it kind of just evolved because it turned out to be more kind of like a seasonal thing where I would do it for the holidays or, you know, Christmas, Valentine's, what have you. And I kind of went back to the whole, I knew how to crochet. And I had learned that back when, I don't know, maybe I was like 10 years old. My mom had taught me and, you know, made a lot of scarves and then kind of stopped. And then when I had my first son, I was like, I want to make him a blanket, you know, and I picked up the hook, again, just crochet at this time. And of course I made him a blanket, which if I look at it now, I'm embarrassed to say that
stop. I'm sure it's beautiful.
It you know, it had a pattern. It's called XOXO, kind of like a hugs and kisses. So it had a pattern with X's and O's in it. But I look at it now and I'm kind of like, I'm ashamed of what it looks like. And you're just like, oh my God. But you know, we all start somewhere.
We all have that.
So exactly. And then again, just made the blanket and that was it. And then again, 4 years later, made another blanket for my youngest and then kind of like stopped, just wasn't really doing anything with the yarn or anything. And I'd have to look back now. I don't know if it's been 4 years or so that I kind of just picked it back up. And I think it was more of it was a stress reliever, if anything. You know, you come home from work, long day, what have you, and you sit and watch them. It was the perfect Netflix, you know, the yarn, watch a show. So that was perfect. And then I think it's been a couple years that I've started the knitting. And that's just kind of, I've taken off with the knitting and I'm really loving it. Not that I don't love the crochet, but I love being able to do both.
I love that. Yeah, I remember when you first started knitting and I just remember thinking, okay, I can do it too. And I picked it up and I tried and girl, I have tried.
We're going to get you there though.
I know.
FaceTime. And that's actually what I have in my hand. I have needles. So.
Oh, lovely. Hold it up again. Hold it closer to the camera so we can see what you're working on. So what are you making?
It's actually, I'm testing a new design. I don't know if you guys know she goes by Lorraine. I'm trying to remember. Oh God, I should know this.
Oh, it's ringing bells, but I'm struggling.
Her name is I think SHIPI. But she goes by Lorraine something.
Hang on, I'm typing it in. Lorraine Knitwear?
Yes.
There we are.
Yep.
I've got Instagram pulled up on my computer screen. So.
Oh, see, and I shut it all down. So, so she's actually doing a collaboration with Lion Brand and with another. So this is the knit version she's doing, and there's going to be a crochet version as well. And that one is by Whistle and Wool, I think is her.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they're both doing a collaboration with Lion Brand. One will be crochet, one will be knit. And yeah, so that's what I'm testing.
I love it. So is it a top or what is it that you're making?
You know, it goes back
or to are you allowed to say?
Is it a shawl or is it a wrap?
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, I think that just depends on how you want to wear it.
Exactly. Actually using their new Color Theory yarn. I don't know if anybody's used it before.
I've got some in my stash, but I haven't used it yet.
Okay. It's my first time using it. I literally ordered it to be able to do this test. And it's really soft and it's buttery. And the thickness of it kind of reminds me of jeans, you know, the jeans Lion Brand.
Yep.
That's what it reminds me of.
Okay. Is it like a wool blend or is it acrylic?
You know, I'm not even, it looks like it's 100% acrylic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. I was going to say, I thought that's what it was because I think they were trying to kind of hit that different market because there's definitely people that like prefer like a wool or a wool blend. And there's definitely people that, you know, like when their go-to is more of 100% acrylic. I personally tend to go for the acrylic just because it's so washable friendly.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind too is like Low is actually allergic to wool. So
Oh,
also people who are allergic to it. So
sure.
Minuses. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even think about that, but that's a really good point. And they've got so many cool colors.
Yes. I'll show you.
So are you doing it all in one color? Or are you gonna do
No, it's actually,
Ooh.
see if you can see.
I love that. We
And
have such similar
course,
taste in colors. I love it.
I went on 𝗕𝗲𝘰𝗀𝘀 because that's who made the yarn. I went on her color and I was like, oh, let me see. And she had this color palette. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
5. And I was like, oh, I ordered all 5. And turns out I only need 4 colors. So then, of course, I'm like, oh, no, which colors am I going to use?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Who's going to get left behind? Oh, poor yarn.
Yeah.
Got left out.
So what are you working on?
I actually don't have anything tonight that I'm working on because I literally, so I've got a hat that I've been working on designing for the 𝗕cie Cancer Challenge, which I don't remember. I don't know if you remember. I participated in it last year. It's been going for a few years now, and it's put on by Sweet Potato 3. And it's kind of like, it's a blog hop. And so like each day, you know, you're going to have a chance to download a new free pattern kind of a thing. But the catch with it is that, you know, it's like a promise. So if you download the pattern, then it's a promise that you're going to make at least one hat to then donate to either a cancer patient or a cancer center or something like that. And so we each like pick a color or a ribbon color or for the cancer that we want to make for. So of course I'm going with pink, which the irony is I'm not really like, I mean, I like pink, but only certain shades. And I really can't stand like the really, like the 𝗕𝗲𝘰𝗶𝘀 pink, the breast cancer pink. I just can't do it. Like the irony of ironies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like the pattern worked up really quickly and I was trying to get photos in the daylight and I'm like, I'm just gonna finish it, you know, like that way I can get my photos for the pattern and it's all done. So yeah, I finished that earlier and now I don't have anything to work on at the moment.
Okay, no worries. So did you, and since you said they're different colors based on the cancer, so does your hat have to match the ribbon? Or does it just have to be in shades of pink?
Only mine.
I'm sorry?
Only mine has to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, like if you wanted to download my pattern, you're not obligated to make it in pink. Like you could make it in whatever. Yeah.
For your pattern.
Oh, for my pattern. I think it can be, I'm running with it. I'm not doing the exact ribbon color. I'm just doing a pink hat. Pink is pink. I just went with like a more, I don't know, would you call it like I don't think it's quite dark enough to say dusty rose, but it's more like a country pink, or it's a little bit more muted. Yeah. So I think it's going to be pretty. Actually, hang on.
You have it?
I do. Hang on. Oh. Don't look at my craft room because it is heinously unorganized and just a mess. I've got like my little art like for what do you call that, for videos? Little clamp thing. My tripod's over here, ironing board set up, everything. I'm a mess. I'm a hot mess. I'm not even a hot mess. I'm just a mess. But so here it is. It's kind of like a dusty rose kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I like the texture on it.
Thanks.
Is that
I kind of picked that up off of the Evern blanket that I did back in June. With the star stitches and then the camel stitch.
Okay. Yeah, it looked like I bought this star stitch. Cool.
Yeah, I do love the star stitch and it's fun. It's different. It's a little bit more of a challenge doing it in the round, I think, because when you go to like join a joined round, you know, it's a little trickier. So I had to make sure my pictures, it's really awkward sometimes getting some of those pictures to try and get the right angle when you only have so many fingers and hands to do it with, but.
Okay, and for anyone that has not purchased or used one of your patterns, I have to say, Kristen is very detailed in her patterns, not only with pictures, but also diagrams.
Sometimes to a fault. Like, honestly, I think sometimes people would prefer it if I just pared it down, but I don't know. I just feel like I have to give everything.
Yeah, I think you're very thorough though, because I think sometimes there's certain people that can read the instructions and go off of it. There's people that need pictures to like visually see it. And then you've got people that would like a graph and can go off it. So I like that you have the option to be able to do that.
Well, thanks, friend.
Yeah.
You're so sweet. And for those of you guys that don't know, actually, that's how Leyla and I met. Is she tested my very first pattern that I ever wrote. And it was like, it was rough. I'm like, I've never done this before. So if you guys can just tell me what I'm screwing up, that'd be great.
And it was great. It was, yeah.
But it's fun. I'm so glad that we've gotten to be friends and gotten to know each other. And one of these days, we're going to actually get to see each other in person, face to face, and not. I know we're going to have to make this happen. We're a little bit far away from one another. It's not exactly a quick drive, but we'll get there. Okay, so
ever.
right. Okay, so we've been kind of teasing this, and if you've been following my stories, then you might know that we've got a little surprise. And by we, I mean Leyla. This is all Leyla's idea, and this is her. I'm just helping out. So we've decided to do a little giveaway. So for you guys that don't know, not only does Leyla knit and crochet, but she also does pattern design as well. And she's got, if you love texture, which if you're on my account and you know I love texture, chances are you're going to love this whole collection that Leyla is offering up. So she's going to be giving you, one winner is going to get their choice of one pattern from the Pine Ridge, I'm getting the name right, Pine Ridge collection.
Got it.
And the yarn to make it with. It's going to be dealer's choice. So like, well, winner's choice, not dealer's choice. That's the wrong terminology. Okay. I need more caffeine. I'm sorry. Okay, so the winner gets to choose one pattern from that collection, the Pine Ridge collection. And the best thing about this whole collection is if you're doing fall markets, these are great patterns for that because they are quick and they are always great sellers because people always want it, like they want that farmhouse look and they just have that going in spades, and I just love them so much. So Leyla, I know you brought a couple of samples that you had worked up from your patterns and the yarn. So if you want to show everybody what they might win.
Yes. And you know what? I don't know, Kristen, if you can on your end, since I'm on my phone now, I don't have the picture of the patterns, but I can show what it is.
Well, I'm going to put the picture, here, what I'm going to do is I will put the picture in my, my replay post. It'll be like the main, so you'll be able to see it. And then I'll put bigger versions in my stories so everybody can see it and have plenty of, they can zoom in on it if they need to and whatnot. But I figure if you have the samples that you've got, you can at least just show, kind of give people an idea of the texture that they're going to be looking at.
Yes, definitely. So the Pine Ridge collection has 3 different pieces to it, and they're all separate patterns. The first one is the dishcloth, which is kind of like an 8x8 size. And like Kristen said, it's full of texture.
I just want to run my hands over.
And yeah, you know, it could be a washcloth, could be a dishcloth. Really?
Trivet?
Yep. Actually, no, that's
oh, right. Never mind. You've got the other one. That's
Trivet
right. So this is the trivet, and it's on the little wooden ring.
Correct. And keep in mind the difference between the two. This one actually has more texture to it because this one is made using 2 yarns, like double-stranded yarn.
Double-stranded.
Versus the one. And
that's
the one
smart.
I don't have a picture of is the kitchen towel, which is basically this, but it's like double in size because it's bigger.
Got it.
But
no, that's smart with the trivet to have it with the double-stranded yarn because that makes it nice and thick and you can protect your table from the heat.
Yep. And the yarn has the option to either put a hook or you can just do like a little loop on it.
Oh, awesome.
If the winner does decide to get this one, I will also add the hook in there, or the little
loop.
Yep, the little loop in there.
The wooden circle thing.
The wooden circle thing. You got it. That's what I meant to say.
I am having the hardest time like thinking of any of words. Words are hard today, so you know, help me out if you can.
Yeah, same girl, same. And then I do have a couple of choices in the yarn. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Some of you, if you've used 𝗕cie yarn, which is a nice, soft, buttery, 100% cotton from Knit Picks. And I have a couple of colors in there, if you could see there.
So many pretty colors.
Yeah, so you can decide which one you would like. And then,
okay, can you give me the names of the yarn colors from the label? Because when that way people know which color they want to select and they can.
Yeah, we can do that. You don't want them now, do you? Or
yeah, I would say go ahead and just state it here in the video, because then people can refer back to the video.
Okay, this one, which looks kind of like a mustard yellow to me, this is creme brulee.
Ooh, sounds delicious.
It does. Wish we were having some, huh?
Right.
And this one actually does look like honeydew. That's the name of this one.
Nice.
Okay, I'm totally gonna botch this one. Oh, actually, no, never mind. This one to me is kind of like a fuchsia.
Mm-hmm.
It's begonia, the flower.
Okay, I can see that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one.
Is that like a grayish taupe?
Silver. But again,
okay.
Silver, you're in the same family. Yep.
Awesome.
There
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So here's how you can enter to win. So the first thing is that I'm going to post the replay to the to my grid, obviously, when the live is over. And when you see that video get posted, you're going to need to like that post and make sure you're following both Leyla and I will have her handle in the caption, so for easy clicking. And then in the comments, I would like for you to comment with which pattern you prefer and in which color. So that way, you know, as soon as we know, and we can just get your stuff ready. And then if you want, we will have some extra entries available if you want to share the replay to your stories. Make sure you tag both Leyla and I, and we will get 3 extra entries. You can do that once per day. And yeah, share it to your stories. The giveaway is gonna end at midnight on Thursday, so 11:59 Central Time on Thursday, and then we'll select the winner on Friday and announce them. And there are no giveaway accounts. If you win, I will be the one contacting you directly from this account. So don't fall into any of the bots or the scammers out there. Also, it's unfortunately, we're just going to do North America just because of shipping. Yeah, so pretty simple. Just like, follow, comment, and if you want those extra entries, share to your stories. Easy peasy.
Yep.
All right. Good. And you know what? I have never worked with 𝗕cie. I've worked with all kinds of the We Crochet yarns, but I haven't worked with 𝗕cie yet.
So which one's your favorite cotton, I should ask?
Like otherwise?
Yeah.
Like if I'm using it, it depends on what I'm doing. Like if I'm making washcloths, like dishcloths,
yeah,
then probably sugar and cream.
Okay.
The good old standby. If I was going to make like a tea towel or something, then I would do a softer mercerized cotton, but I don't have a particular favorite. I'm open to.
Okay. And I say the big difference between the, what was it called? The one that you just said?
Sugar and cream.
Sugar and cream, which is a great basic and a good one. And it's actually really good for washing and stuff because it's like a little bit thicker.
The tougher yarn.
Exactly. Is that this one is just a bit softer.
Okay.
So it's easier on your hand.
Okay. Yeah. Not as much of an arm workout.
Definitely.
All right. And now Laura's saying the same thing here. She said that she loves 𝗕cie and that it's softer than Lily's and she prefers the 𝗕cie too.
Yes.
So I'm going to have to give that a try. And We Crochet, man, they've got some really great color schemes. Like if you want a color, whatever you can envision in your head, they've got that color. Yeah. I swear they do. And every yarn that I've ever come across with them, I love their yarns.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that is such a really cool thing for you to be doing. I think that is really sweet of you for for our viewers to be able to have a chance to win this one of your amazing patterns and the yarn to make them with. And I hope that good luck to everybody. And I hope that whoever wins posts pictures and tags us so we can see what they make.
You know, just paying it forward for somebody else to enjoy.
I love it.
Yes.
Okay. Before we hop into the book discussion, which we might get to this evening. So before we do that, I always like to play a little bit of this or that, kind of like those style games. I almost dropped my iPad that has the book on it. That would have been awful. Okay.
Drink. I'm like, oh, is she spilling her drink?
No, that would be awful too because it's really hot. Okay, so now given your background in sweets and our discussion that everything is better with chocolate on it, would you rather have, like, if you had to pick one and you couldn't have the other, yarn or chocolate?
Oh, wow.
That was mean, wasn't it?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Because usually those two go hand in hand.
I know, same. I'm sitting here like popping Brookside chocolates as I'm yarning.
You can't dip that yarn because then the yarn's going to get dirty. So. Oh, man. I don't know that I'm going to answer that one.
No, I refuse to answer. I like it. I know, I don't think I could pick either. It's like,
I don't think I could, no.
It's just cruel and unusual.
Exactly. Okay, you know what? That's like saying yarn or books.
Yeah, I know.
They go hand in hand.
Like, which one do you want? Yes. Exactly. I want both.
And yes.
Not or, and.
Exactly.
And.
Yep.
Okay. I won't be as mean.
Pass on that one.
Okay. Let's see. We'll continue with the would you rathers, and I've got two more of those. Would you rather read a cliffhanger ending without any sequel or satisfaction, or have the author kill off one of your favorite characters?
Probably have the author kill one of the characters, just because you kind of want a resolution and you want an ending. I don't know that I want to be left hanging out there with like,
right,
this could have happened or what happened, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then sometimes, you know, maybe the character's death would have meaning that adds to the story. So
that's another good thought. Yes, definitely.
I see that. Okay. Last would you rather, and then we'll move on to a less painful game.
Okay.
Would you rather realize the character you're rooting for is actually completely evil, or realize that the narrator is an unreliable one, making you question everything you thought you knew?
Ooh. You really picked tough ones today, didn't you?
Love you.
All right, well, go back again. Okay, tell me the first one again. What?
Okay. Realize the character that you're rooting for is actually completely evil.
Okay.
Or realize that the narrator is completely unreliable and make you question everything you thought you knew.
I think I'd rather want to know that the character is evil versus the narrator telling us like that they're unreliable. Just because then you're going to question everything that they told you. And kind of the storyline of it, you're going to be like, well, that didn't make sense, or that didn't, you know. I guess I'd prefer the character being evil. Yeah.
It's kind of convoluted, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Because then you go back and you're like, I don't know.
And I feel like at least if you know, because I mean, if the narrator is unreliable and they might, you know, the byproduct of that might be an evil character anyway. So at least then you know what's what.
God.
Okay. How about some this or that? It'll be a lot more simple.
Okay.
I hope. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Oh, goodness. It's always been tea. No, I would say it's always been tea. But lately, my husband has been influencing me. He's Mr. Coffee, like coffee all the time. And he drinks his coffee like black and bitter. So I've always been like, oh, yuck, yuck, but after we got our Nespresso machine, I was like starting to play with it. So every now and then, more on weekends, I would say, I'll sit there and kind of like come up with a new drink. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can do
this. Is good.
Yeah, exactly.
You posted a couple of those in your stories too.
Yes. There's like a white chocolate mocha. And I'm like, to me, that's like a hot chocolate because it has very little coffee and it has more milk and stuff in it. It's the almond milk and all of that. So I've been having fun with that, but I'm definitely more a tea drinker than a coffee drinker.
Me too. Yeah. I honestly never have been able to stomach coffee. I can't.
Oh.
I've tried, even as an adult, thinking that my taste buds might have changed. No,
yeah.
They haven't.
Well, I can't do it daily because it still has that bitter taste. But I think if you put enough other stuff in it, it kind of like
offsets it.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes you think it's a dessert instead of a.
Exactly.
Okay. Would you, let's see, this or that. Let's see, meet your favorite author or your favorite character?
Author.
Okay.
I think more so because they develop that character.
Right.
That give you the insight into that character. I mean, if you met the character, I guess the author. I'll just
okay. There's no wrong answer. It's okay.
No, you know what? It's funny you say that because it was like, just getting to meet, what's her name? Taylor
Jenkins Reid.
Yes. And that was one of those, like, I, having read her books and knowing all the different characters, it was just really great to get to meet her and just kind of like hear her insight about all the different characters. And so I really enjoyed that. And I know you're going to meet her too. So
that's the goal. She's supposed to be here in a few weeks and I'm supposed to be going. Yeah. So, God willing and the creek don't rise. So hopefully I'll get to do it.
Yes. I hope so too.
Okay. World building or character development?
I'm sorry. What was the first one?
World building. So like if you have like just, setting or like if it's a fantasy read, like, you've got that whole, how well they develop the setting and.
Okay. And versus
character development.
Oh,
how much does the character grow?
Character development for sure. Yep.
Okay. Yarn related.
Okay.
Garments or accessories?
I definitely enjoying making garments lately because it's something you can wear, and it's actually kind of nice when someone says like, "Did you make that?" And it's embarrassing because most of the time you're like, yeah, you're kind of like, yeah, maybe I did, you kind of like, but it's like a nice satisfaction, but it takes longer. Yeah. So accessories are nice because it's a quick little, look what I made. But I'm definitely enjoying garments more lately.
Yeah. I think I've seen a lot more of them coming out from you too. I think that's great. Yeah. I would really I haven't done a garment in forever, and I've honestly been itching to get back to them.
If I had more time, I think that's what I would start making my wardrobe. And you see some people that just whip this out, and I'm just like, I need more hands,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've been dying to make like a poncho forever. I know it seems so weird, poncho, but like I want like this cape thing with a nice big cowly neck and something cozy, I don't know. I've got this vision in my head and it's been there for like 2 years now and I just haven't made it happen yet.
But you know what? Maybe it's your next pattern that you need to work on.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
Yep. You never know.
You never know. Okay. One more crochet related question.
Okay.
Pencil grip or knife grip?
I'm definitely a pencil.
Mm-hmm. I can't do it. The only time I can do that is a crab stitch.
Yep. Oh,
yeah. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, this is one question that I ask to everybody. Mm-hmm. Do you have one author that no matter, like as soon as they tell you they're putting out a new book, that you automatically just go and buy it because you love everything they write?
Oh. There's actually a few. I have to narrow down. Like Kristen Hanna, for sure.
Yeah.
I have always talked about that one. It's just kind of one of those, her stories are just so well written, her character, the storyline, just all
her
of
characters are amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even just her whole historical fiction, just any of those, you know. So she's definitely up there. Taylor Jenkins Reid, another one, just because it's one of those there's certain ones you just love.
Yeah.
I think those are my top two, I would say.
Awesome. They're great ones. I haven't read everything that Taylor Jenkins Reid has put out, but I've read a couple. And I mean, I do wish that I had read Daisy Jones by listening to an audiobook, because I heard that was like the ultimate way to listen to experience that book.
Mm-hmm.
But I still liked it, and I can totally see it like as like almost a VH1 thing in my head. But is that even still around? I don't even know.
So I have to admit, that is the one book of hers that I have not read.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, I've heard listen to the audiobook.
Yes, well, I'm adding that to the list. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think they might be making that into
It's getting made into a movie or a series or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so is Evelyn Hugo, I think, isn't it?
I think
Maybe
so.
not. And Malibu Rising, I think. She's got a few of them out there right now. They're getting
exactly. And it's funny you say that. Those three plus her new one that came out today, Carrie goes back. And you'll probably know this when you hear her talk. She talked about just how the whole shared universe where the characters kind of intertwine and they'll make to the character. But she did say that this would be the last one where she would do that shared universe, and they kind of collide and coincide in there. It's funny. I said shared universe, and I keep thinking of my boys with Marvel.
I know.
Universe, and I'm like.
I get that. Yeah, because like as soon as you said that, that was literally my first thought, because my husband and I have been all into the Marvel stuff. That's
how she explained it too. She's like, it's like a shared universe, and they're like, they pop up in this, and I'm going like, they did, because you if you read the stories, you kind of remember them. But I'm like, oh my god, I thought shared universe, and that's all I could think of. Marvel.
There's lots of authors that do that, and I have to say that's like one of my favorite things when they do that, because it's like a little hidden Easter egg kind of thing, Exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into talking about Next Year in Havana. So I have it on my, I listened to the audiobook version of it. So this is not a great display of this book. I love the cover. It is so beautiful. Like just the colors, I had Jill R. Crochet, she was on a couple months ago, and she started dyeing yarn recently. And like we were talking about all of the covers of books that needed to be made into yarn. And I think this is one of them. I love it. It's so pretty. And it's such a great book. Like seriously. My gut reaction was just that it was so heartbreakingly beautiful and just poignant and just a really great story. What was your gut reaction to it?
I loved the love story in it, the history in it, learning more about the history of Cuba. It just was well written, and it kind of transports you back in time. You know how it goes back and forth, is all I'm going to say, but it makes you seem like you're kind of there, Yeah,
absolutely. So you touched on this a little bit. What was your knowledge of Cuba prior to reading the novel? Like, how has it changed or evolved after reading?
It definitely gave some insight into the history. In high school, I actually went to school with a couple of Cuban girls, because I went to a Catholic school, and I think like the whole class was 100. There was 100 of us, so it's a small Catholic school, so you kind of knew everybody, and there was a handful of Cuban girls, and it was the whole kind of similar to this. Some had fled Cuba for a better life, and so you kind of could relate a little to that. As far as like the history of it, for some reason I remember the Bay of Pigs, studying that in history. But I think that was the extent of Cuban history. that we were
Yeah.
ever taught in school.
Yeah.
So,
Like, honestly, my knowledge of Cuba prior to this was just like, it revolved around more like snippets, like Fidel Castro, Cuban Missile Crisis, all this stuff, and like bad, 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 you know, like, and I always wonder, like, why, I mean, if this was like a huge part of America, like this shared history that America has with Cuba.
yeah.
And we know almost nothing about it. Like, they don't teach it in our schools.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one of the reasons, in my opinion, we need books like this that have that representation, that show the other side of that coin, and that just give the information.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this book really did help me understand a lot more of, like, you know, how much history is written by those, like how much what gets into the history books is not the full story, you know, like, yeah. And how so much people try and sweep things under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really fascinating.
Well, and okay. I think, like you said, the fact that, you know, we're taught so much in history classes, but we're definitely not taught enough. And there's certain subjects and certain, like I said, I remember Bay of Pigs, but like just a bit of it, you know what I mean? Nothing that expanded on or said kind of what led to it, or kind of gave you a little bit more of that Cuban history. It definitely did not. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like, I honestly don't remember hardly anything in my schooling at all. Yeah. And I went to a Catholic school too. We've just had this discussion.
Yes.
So like, nothing.
Yeah.
It was kind of like anything, and this is something that I'm seeing more as an adult, anything where, you know, America is shown in a bad light, you know, we kind of just brush it under the rug. We don't want to think about it. And I mean, I feel like that's a natural tendency, because who does want to be seen for their worst? You know, we all try and put our best face forward. Hello, Instagram wouldn't be so popular if we didn't, right?
Correct. Yeah.
But the truth matters.
Correct.
So I think it was a really great book just for the history aspect of it alone. Did you find yourself drawn more towards one timeline versus the other, or one set of like characters more than the other?
That kind of goes back into the which character I liked more. Are we talking about the book just yet, or are we?
We can talk about the book, but we're not talking about spoilers yet.
Okay. Want to make sure I don't say the wrong.
Rein it in, Leyla.
Yes. I think I was able to relate a bit more to, I think her grandmother, Elisa's story.
Elisa. Yeah.
Elisa's story a little bit more, just because she was the one that
experienced it firsthand. And
thank you. I'm trying to keep it short, so I'm not saying more than I need to be saying. Yes, because she's the one that experienced it firsthand. And then just the way her storyline was portrayed was, you know, between the history, the love story, and all of that, I really enjoyed her character a little bit more.
Okay, off topic, how did you feel about like the whole Insta love aspect? Because they both timelines had the Insta love, and I personally am a little dubious about it most times, especially more contemporary timelines opposed to historical ones, because things have changed so much. So I just find like that kind of gets a little, I don't know, irksome almost for me. Thoughts? Yeah, well,
okay, beyond the Insta story, it was great.
Yeah.
The whole meeting and that whole thing, I get what you're saying. The love story evolved really quickly.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I think I noticed it more with Marisol.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like the contemporary timeline.
Yes.
It's a different feel. I mean, when you look at them both side by side, they're probably both very similarly timed, but we accept it more for the older, more historic timeline than we do for the contemporary timeline.
Yes. And,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know if that had to do with her gravitating to kind of like the history and the culture of it, that she thought, oh, I really like him, or you know what I mean? I don't know if that's what got them together. And I know we'll talk about it more because that's one of your questions about Louise and how. So I'll just stop there.
Okay. All right. We'll put a pin in it and we'll come back
Okay.
to it in a
Awesome.
little bit. Okay. Okay. What did you think about the differences between those who stayed in Cuba and those who left it and then came to the US? And what sacrifices do you think both had to make?
There's definitely a lot of sacrifices, I think, on both ends. And this is one that actually I can relate to, just because I was born in Peru. And my family moved to the US when I was 2 years old. And it was one of those also leaving the family behind. My mom and dad were the first ones to come to the US. And so there's always that struggle of, you know, it's a new environment. There's challenges there. And then also for them in this respect, like they're leaving their home, their culture, they were leaving all that behind. Granted, they were still, are we still talking or can I?
Yeah.
We're into it, right?
We are.
Spoilers? Okay.
Wait, no, we're not into spoilers yet.
Okay. Sorry.
I'll give that warning, I promise.
What to say, what we can and cannot say. So yeah, definitely I think there are struggles for both. The family that's left behind because they're still the ones that are dealing with what was going on with the
regime and yeah.
Yes. And then on the other flip side, they're having to settle in a new place, but still trying to keep their culture.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Balance is what I'm trying to say.
I feel like the people that stayed kind of look at those who left as kind of like jumping ship, kind of, you know? And it's like, well, you're not true Cuban if you don't stay and battle this out. But meanwhile, they're miserable. And sometimes I think it's a little bit of misery loves company. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a lot of gray area that goes on there that is just really, I felt like the author did a really good job of bringing that across and like making you feel it. But this is one of the other reasons why I was really excited that you chose this book, is because I thought this would make a really great like discussion book, especially given your experiences. So yeah, I think that the sacrifices were on both sides. I mean, you know, it's easy enough for the people that stayed to look at those who, you know, like Marisol, when she comes back and she's this wealthy American. They don't see her as Cuban. They see her as an American. And she's got all her money and influence and stuff. And while that's true, I mean, her family went with nothing. Although I guess that's not entirely true, because I think they said that her father, Elisa's father, had the foresight to have like money in offshore banks, so they were able to use some of that. So maybe that's not entirely true.
He was able to start his sugar company in Miami.
Right. With the funds that he had from other banks. Right. So, you know, I think that's kind of meh. It could go either way.
Yeah, I was going to say, either way, it was still a struggle for them because it's a new country. You don't know the language.
There's the discrimination.
Correct. You have no family there. You know, it's still a completely new environment for them.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Cultural identity is a big theme, and with many, how did I write this question? This doesn't make any sense. Hang on. A big theme with many, or like Marisol, born and raised in one country. Okay. So with cultural identity is being such a big theme in this book. You know, like Marisol being born and raised in one country, but yet her heritage lies in another. Do you relate to Marisol's longing to feel belonging in Cuba? Like if, like from your personal experience, do you feel that like you've been back to Peru, right?
Yes, I have. And definitely I would agree. Yes. And in that sense, I would say more so just because of the not having grown up in Peru. Yes, we keep still the tradition, the culture, the food, which is a big part of it. But actually experiencing it and being back there, I've actually been able to go to Machu Picchu a couple of times now, which has,
Oh, that's right. You had pictures from that trip like recently. Yes, I
yeah.
remember those now. Okay.
So like the first time I went just with my mom, and then the second time with my brother, his family, and my mom again. But it is just it's just rich in history and culture. And to be able to go back and experience that, you're kind of like, oh my God, there's just so much more. You know what I mean?
Right. It's almost like what you've got that you grew up with is just like a sliver of the pie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do you think Luis will adjust to the US?
You know, I think he's may have a hard time just because he seemed very set in his ways. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things for somebody who, in their case, that was fleeing from Fidel Castro because of all the stuff that was going on military wise and this and that. And they all had this like, oh, we need to kill him and get him off, being in charge and this and that. And it just seemed like they lost a lot of family members. I mean, there was just a lot of reasons why. I think he taught the history, because wasn't he the history teacher?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he could do okay being a teacher and teaching some of them, but I think he'd have a hard time adjusting for some reason.
Yeah. Like he's always going to be looking on the horizon towards home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I get that vibe as well. Where are the spoilers? Man, I have a lot of questions that are not spoilery. Okay. Loyalty is a complicated thing. Where does family fit in on the hierarchy, above or below country? Above or below the natural order of things, or are we above all else loyal to ourselves, to our hearts, our convictions, and the internal voice that guides us? So that is a quote from the book. The characters in this book encounter a lot of questions surrounding loyalty to their family, their country, to their lovers. How do they reconcile these different loyalties during these turbulent times? I think that Marisol's struggle with this was more pronounced than Marisol. Did I say that right? Elisa, not Marisol. Elisa's struggles were more poignant with that than Marisol's.
Correct.
I think I got that out right.
I think I got it right the second time.
I'm trying.
In both. And I think that had to do more because Elisa was, I would say, kind of like the the first ones that exiled. So I think they had a harder struggle to adjust, where Marisol, she kind of grew up in Miami, didn't quite have the same struggles, but had heard all the stories and the history from her grandmother. So I think for her, it was more eye-opening learning the history and stuff when she went back to Cuba. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I kind of think that with Elisa, she felt a lot more of as far as loyalties goes, I think her struggle with that was really her love for, gosh, what was his name? Pablo.
Yes.
Her love for Pablo.
Correct, because she left him behind.
And conflicting that with her family love. And even her love for her brother, you know, these conflicting emotions, where does loyalty, how do you, it's a fine line, I think. And she was trying to walk it and keep it, she was on a tightrope for sure. Yeah. And then I think Marisol kind of had that same struggle when she was in Cuba trying to like, I don't know that she necessarily struggled. I think she empathized with Luis's struggle.
Yes.
More.
I think you're right. And I think that kind of goes to that Insta love that you were talking about earlier. So I think it was more of she fell in love with more of the story and the culture than she probably fell in love with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like that was a little underdeveloped.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
There was definitely room for growth there.
Yeah. So Cuba is used by the communists, the Americans, and other political actors. How do these influence the Cubans, and what would freedom really mean for them? It's like they talk about in the history back when Elisa was kind of recounting her story about how the Americans had their casinos and money and guns and everything was coming in. And I feel like Cuba was another one of those Cold War battlegrounds, obviously, where it was definitely, the Americans versus the Russians. Well, they weren't Russian then, but you know what I'm trying to say. Kind of, battling it out in this very, and then poor Cuba just is caught in the middle, and the people are caught in the middle. So what would a true freedom look like for them, do you think?
I think that would have been them being able to go back home and not have to deal with that constant struggle with the government back and forth. In that case, like, let's just say with the whole Fidel Castro, all the stuff that was going on, that they had to, that whole bringing up the like revolutionary and having to organize and like fight against the government just for what they believed in, it just, I don't know. To me, I think freedom would have meant like there wasn't any rationing, that they could live comfortably and not have to be like fighting constantly.
I think it would look like, like not having to live in constant fear of saying the wrong thing and being abducted and disappeared by your government. Like,
yeah, that too.
One way or the other, because even when they were a democracy with the president and he was essentially a tyrant, and then Fidel comes in making all these promises and doesn't end up being any different. It's just literally cutting off the head of the snake and then another one pops up in its place. And it's really sad. Like,
I think it's a lot better now, but I remember back in high school, I know like you couldn't visit Cuba, and you couldn't and even if they did or try to go back, there was always, like you said, that risk of being,
your American passport is not going to protect you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's scary. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know that, after Fidel's death, it got better, but I don't think it's that great yet still. Like, I think there's still a lot of fear there.
Oh, definitely. That's what I said. I think it's gotten better, but it's still not where it needs to be. Right.
Yeah. Okay, now we can jump into spoilers.
Okay.
Layla's like, all right, so before we do go, if anybody has not read or finished the book, this is where you'll want to jump off. But before you do, I just want to let you know next month's book. Hang on, I'm pulling it up because it is another audiobook that I've got downloaded. Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney is our book for September, right? Yeah, September, August, September. Okay, yeah, months, order. So yeah, and the date for that will be September 27th. So, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Spoiler talk. Here we go.
I'll tell you.
Do you want to circle back to that other one to elaborate on it?
I was just going to say, I thought I printed out the 2 pages, but for some reason, I'm only seeing a part. So you're going to have to guide me on the spoiler part. I have
Okay.
remarks.
That's hilarious.
So
Okay.
Page in there.
Well, there's only a few questions anyway. I really had a lot more questions that weren't even spoilery, so I think we're okay. And we are going over a little bit on time, and I think that's, just to be fair, that's partly because we were talking about the giveaway stuff. So I'm going to give us a little extra time. So if you guys don't mind hanging out, let's finish our discussion. Okay, so were you surprised that Pablo was still alive? Do you think that Marisol and her family will ever go back to Cuba to see him?
Yes, I was surprised. I would think she'd go back, just knowing, you know, that he is still alive and that he's back there. I
can see her taking her great aunts.
Definitely. To go back and be like, hey.
At least Beatrice, you know, like.
Yeah.
She's spunky.
Oh, I loved her. And I don't know that if I mentioned it to you. I think I told you that I was reading the other books.
Yes.
And I actually finished When We Left Cuba, which was really good. And it actually follows Beatrice. So if you loved her, you're going to love that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So it's still like this. It's still the same family.
It follows. Yes, it follows the Perez girls, and I think you had tagged me on Booked with Becca.
Right. She had her suggested reading order.
Exactly. So I read the 1, 2, 3 in the order that she said, and I don't know if I'm gonna. I think you almost want to stop there because I don't know if the others also talk about the Perez sisters. But like I said, if you like Beatrice, definitely. That was. I wrote it down here. When We Left Cuba was pretty spin off on that one with her character in it, and then the other one was Our Last Day, or is it One Last Day in Barcelona? That was another one. That one follows Isabel. But they were they were again. It just, if you really like the character, she just kind of keeps going on the character, and it's really good. I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, it's on my list. I definitely plan to read it at some point that I can get to it and get it from the library.
I literally add more to the TBR, right?
I know. It just always gets higher. No matter how many books I read, it just keeps growing. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't really surprised that he was alive. Like, I felt like that was almost gonna have to be the twist. But I will admit that I didn't see it until closer to the twist. But like, once I saw like the first hint, I'm like, oh, he's so alive. You know, like, but I do think that they'll go back to see him. Do you think that Pablo did the right thing by letting Elisa think that he was dead, and why or why not?
You know, probably yes, because she was leaving with her family, and maybe had she known that he was still alive, she would have stayed behind with him.
Or if she knew that he was still alive, given that she knew what she knew about her baby, their baby, maybe she would have been able to convince him to come with her.
Yeah, but you know how her dad was.
But then, yeah, her dad would have been like,
I don't think the dad would have, well, maybe had he known the situation she was in, you know, that she was with child, that he probably would have taken Pablo with him. But yeah, it's hard.
It's a really interesting thing to ponder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Well, there's multiple questions, but it's the last, like, you know. Anyway, okay. Marisol and Luis fell for each other quickly. Insta love. While it seemed that they would part ways, there was the twist where Luis had to flee Cuba and join Marisol in the U.S. What was your impression of their romance, and do you think they're in it for the long haul? Can people fall in love in a matter of days? Okay,
this one goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
You were circling back.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's hard because I think You know, let me start with saying, I think the only good thing that they both kind of had is like he has all that, with him being a teacher, he had like the whole history and all of that, which is something that she was looking for. Like going to Cuba, she wanted to learn more about the culture. You know, she had always heard it from her aunts and her grandmother, but her actually experiencing it by her going there. So I don't know if she so much fell in love with him as she fell in love with the culture and what he knew about, like, because he had experienced it, that he could tell her about it or like show her about it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Situational.
Yeah.
And then it just happens that he happened to be very attractive.
Yeah. Gotta add that in there.
Right. So do you think they'll make it work then in the US, or you think?
I think they'll try. I don't know if I see it long term, but who knows?
So you haven't read anything in the other books about it?
No.
Okay. Because you wouldn't tell us if you had, right?
No. Actually, when you're, no, because.
Well, Beatrice is that's another historical aspect.
Correct. And that one goes
too, right?
That one goes more into Beatrice and how she ends up falling in love with someone who actually works with President John F. Kennedy. So you kind of get into Kennedy. That's the era that it's in, and she ends up working like with the CIA, and then ends up falling in love with someone who's like John F. Kennedy's right-hand person. And kind of what she gets herself involved in. And I'm trying to think if Marisol may have played just a little, and I don't remember Luis in it, so no.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I am eager to read the other books, and you are like so far ahead of me. So like when I do catch up, we're gonna have to have another discussion.
Oh, definitely.
I need to talk to somebody.
Thank goodness for audiobooks is all I can say, because that's what.
I know. I was literally just like, it's funny because so our book for next month, Sometimes I Lie. I'm like, I know that sounds familiar. It's an Alice Feeney book. And I'm like, I think it's on my TBR. So then I pull it up on Goodreads and I'm like, I already read it. Like,
that's an older one, isn't it? For some reason.
Yeah. I want to say it came out in 2020 and I read it last year, about this time last year. But I listened to it on an audiobook and I was looking back at my Goodreads notes and I don't remember hardly anything about the book and my notes don't really clue me in at all. So it's like, okay, this was a really good book. So, okay, I'm going to have to go re-listen to that. So I had to re-download it from Chirp so that I could listen to it again for next month and then actually write up a real review.
Like, there you go.
Yeah.
You know, that takes a lot of time. So.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, it was a pretty quick listen. Like it was almost like I couldn't take my earbuds out to do it. Like, don't bother me. Don't talk to me. I'm listening. Don't talk to me.
A good book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign of a good book.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's all I had question-wise tonight. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that's it.
I asked you a lot of questions. I put you on the spot a lot, especially with my would you rathers.
Yeah. How do you ask, yarn or chocolate? That's the one I'm going to remember.
I'm sorry. Can we still be friends?
Of course.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
Thank you. All right. So, yeah, that's all I have for this book. So just a reminder, I'm going to pull this back up again. So next month's book is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. And our date for that live is going to be September 27th. Again, at the same time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure you guys follow the directions. I'm going to put all the directions for the giveaway back into the caption when I post this replay. So you'll be able to kind of review that and see what you need to do. But definitely enter, and good luck to everybody. I hope that whoever wins decides to make and share pictures, because we love to see all of everybody's makes. I'm going to tag Leyla, obviously, in the caption, so make sure you check out her account and give her a follow, even if you're not entering the giveaway, because she puts out some amazing, amazing makes, whether she's designing or test knitting or just playing with yarn and making things. And I'm really hoping she gets back to some of those little goodie treats, because I've been watching the Great British Bake Off and I am wanting to bake up everything. So, you know, you start posting chocolate again and it's on like Donkey Kong, okay?
Like,
okay.
It tastes better with chocolate.
It does. It does. And I even saw how they make madeleines on the Great British Baking Show. So I'm almost positive I could totally make those now. First try, right out the gate. Yeah, I can't do that.
Yum. Yum.
Thank you so much, Leyla, for joining me. First what?
I said, you can make them and I will dip them in the chocolate.
Can you make them and I'll dip them in the chocolate?
I've never made them before.
Oh.
So I've never.
You buy them and then dip them.
Yes, and then just dip them.
When you make them, it looks really satisfying, because like you pretty much just pipe them out and then like give them the texture, and then you bake them and they get the little bump. I don't know. It's kind of fun. I kind of want to try it, but more on that later.
Okay. Sounds
all right, Leyla, it has been so much fun. I always have fun talking with you, and I'm so glad you could join me tonight. Thanks for doing that, and thank you for hosting this amazing giveaway. I think that's awesome, and I will be putting pictures of all of the goodies up for grabs in my stories, because I can't do like a carousel on a video post. Lame, I know. So I'm doing my best. But I will have that up probably in the next like 15 minutes. Give me some time to kind of get everything downloaded and whatever on my end. So also be sure to check out all of Leyla's links. I'm going to put all of her links are in my blog post for this book review, so that you can go check out her Etsy, her Goodreads, her Ravelry, all that fun stuff. So yeah, thanks again, Leyla, and thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for joining. I had so much fun, and we will catch you guys on the next one. See ya.
I had a lot of
Always
fun.
fun, Leyla.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.